Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. This is the show that's going to help you become your best self. And today we're going to talk about we need to recognize the importance of mental health days. But before we jump into that conversation, I do want to invite you over to my Instagram at Sabrina Joy Perozzo. I would love to get to know you. Send me a DM. We can have a conversation. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, prayer requests, feedback, topics, suggestions, or you just want to say hey, hi, and hello to me, I would love to hear from you. You could also send me an email. It is realpositivegirlpodcast@gmail.com. Either way, I welcome our online friendship that we will make either there or in my email. All of this information is down below in the show notes. But let's get to the topic for today. Again, we are talking about we need to recognize the importance of mental health days. So, as we all know, every single one of us, we live in a hustle culture. It's go, 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 and only stop if you absolutely have to because you don't want to fall behind everyone else. And it does seem like this mindset is shifting a bit lately. If you spend enough time on social media, people are encouraging, take breaks, take rest. It's super important to do all of those things. With many voices in the media, probably not just social media, encouraging people to slow down, but it's not prevalent enough. It's not enough. I'm here to tell you that it's not enough. And maybe I'm alone in that. Maybe some people think it's fine for where we are as a culture, but I disagree. It's not enough. The culture that we live in values work over well-being so much, so much so that it drives people to their unraveling. And, regardless of whether you know someone close to you or yourself that has gone through that, I'm sure that you've seen someone online talking about how they were a workaholic and how it just ended up not ending well for them, right? Or they had to really just take a really big step back, widen their perspective of what was going on, figure out how to continue to move forward without continuing in that lifestyle of just letting it take over them. It's terrible. It's so terrible that we value work more than well-being because it's crazy. Because if we don't keep up with our well-being, how are we supposed to continue to perform in our work? And when someone wants to stand up for themselves and say it's all too much, like if you were at work and you're like, okay, this is enough. This is a lot. Many employers, unfortunately, will just find someone else. They'll just find someone else who is eager to fill the role until they meet the same ending as the former. It's just like this crazy pattern, super unhealthy pattern that a lot of companies just go through, and turnover can definitely be high in very specific industries and job types because people just get burnt out so quick and they're just over it. But the company, will, whether they realize it or not, they just a lot of times decide not to make any changes for the good. So it just really sucks. It's sad. It's just really sad. But I believe the thing that can help with keeping a balance in a work environment that is a lot to handle, if it's just too much, is making the time to take care of yourself. So that would be every day, a little bit every day, hopefully on your off days, and incorporating some mental health days. And so, mental health days, in this episode, I'm specifically talking about taking an extra day off of work. However, you can incorporate having a mental health day on an already designated off day or on the weekend or whenever you really want. Whenever you really want, you could have a mental health day. But I really want to talk about pulling back from work a little bit and taking a day for yourself because you don't want to fall into being burned out and just pushing yourself over the edge. But you know what? I didn't know that World Mental Health Day, which was this, okay, you probably won't necessarily be listening to this when I'm recording it, but it is October, and World Mental Health Day is in this month. But I didn't know that day was actually established in 1992. Isn't that crazy? Because I was thinking to myself, wow, how nice would it be if I had access to a mental health day when I was in like junior high and high school because I went through so much crap that I really could have used a mental health day for. And I know that there are teens now advocating for adding mental health day options at school. And I know some kids just like, say that they're sick or their parents understand that they need a mental health day. So they take the day off and they're just like call their kid sick out of school or whatever, a personal day. Totally fine. Like I would do the same thing, but it's just interesting that it's been around. It's amazing actually that it's been a day on the calendar for this long and it's still not something widely spoken about in a positive way. It's not something that is so world renowned, amazing, important that there is still like a negative connotation attached to talking about mental health. And I can for sure say we have come a long way, okay, in talking openly about mental health. I'm not saying that we haven't made any progress since like 1992 or even prior to that, but it's still not good enough. I'm not pleased. You're not pleased, I'm sure. A lot of us aren't. It's just not good enough. There is still so much shame attached to admitting you're struggling and needing help. Okay? And so maybe it's not you particularly that is experiencing this, but I'm sure that you know someone that is, or you've heard of someone that is. And it just sucks. It's not good. And people think that they will appear weak, which is crazy. And it's not crazy because I also, I've been in that boat too. I feel like many of us have, maybe some of us haven't because it's been that thing that's really been widely incorporated in their life. And it's totally normal. I have definitely strived so hard to do that in my daughter's life, to talk about how mental health is just a normal thing. Like you can just talk about it. It's fine. We can struggle. It's fine. It's okay. It's who we are. We're normal people. But people think they will appear weak, if what they're admitting that they're struggling, when really seeking help is actually a sign of strength because you are actually doing something about your struggle, right? You're not just complaining about it. You're not just acknowledging it and not doing anything. You are actually wanting to do something. Unlike many people who let it fester and build up, and it ends up becoming a bigger thing than it needed to be, for sure. So, this is why I wanted to chat about the importance of taking mental health days. Because, it's important and it could be this extra bonus thing in our life that could help us just really reset and come back to baseline and be like, okay, I feel better. I don't feel like I'm like teetering over the edge of feeling overwhelmed and stressed and depressed and sad and overworked. And, I have read that there are a couple companies out there in the world that do grant mental health days to employees. Super cool, which is awesome, but it's not enough. Again, we're talking about things that aren't enough in relation to mental health. It's not enough. It needs to be a more adopted idea for companies that already offer like sick time and personal time off. And that is the majority of companies, okay? Because even the company that I work for, that my husband and his business partner own, we have less than 20 people. We still offer those things. And I'm not saying that I feel like our company is more understanding of like mental health days. Like if you want to take a personal day, like it's totally fine. But I just feel like it needs to be more recognized and adopted like everywhere. And, I know you could just use your PTO, your personal time off for a mental health day if you wanted, but you can't always plan when you need a break from everything. It's like being sick. It just happens without notice sometimes, especially when we are not really super tuned in to our self-awareness and understanding how we're feeling and honoring those feelings and really keeping track of what those feelings lead to or have led to in the past and managing those things. So, I'm not going to spend any more time in this episode like advocating for mental health days because I believe that most of us know it's an important thing that more people should be able to have in their lives, right? I believe it. I feel like you believe it. A lot of us believe it. But I do want you to understand one thing before we move on. I want you to understand and believe that you are entitled to taking care of your mental health and having the time to do it. You are. I promise you. I promise you that you are. It may not seem that way if you work in a place that doesn't talk about it often or rolls its eyes at people that have suffered issues in the past, maybe people that have already stood up for themselves, or it has come through the rumor mill or whatever that this person is struggling, and they're like, whatever, that really sucks, you know? Or if you're surrounded by people in your life that don't recognize the importance of having a healthy mental state, definitely have those people in our lives that are just not supportive enough. Regardless of all that, though, you are allowed to do what you need to take care of yourself and essentially keep functioning, right? If we're taking care of ourselves, taking care of our mental health, we are ensuring that we can continue to function in our everyday lives so that we can become our best selves. So mental health days are meant to reduce stress and burnout. So I want you to remember that. It's not just like some lazy day. Some people might take advantage of it in that way. That's fine. That's on them. That's not on you. And yeah, it can make everyone else look bad if those people are like the poster child of mental health days and they're not actually like attending to their mental health in a productive way. But I do want to say that sometimes for some people, for maybe many people actually, a good part of your mental health day could just be having like what you would call like a lazy day where you just lay around in your PJs and you watch Netflix or you read a book or you take a nap. Some people just need they don't need to journal, or they don't need to do yoga, or they don't necessarily need to talk to their therapist that day because they already talked to them enough. You know, some people don't need to actually engage in those activities because they already do that on a regular basis, or they just don't feel like that's going to help them in that moment. So they just need to veg and chill. And we are not here to judge what someone does on their mental health day because everyone's mental health is different. And what works for them, right? And what works for you, works for you. So again, mental health days are meant to reduce stress and burnout. You get to take a break to release and regroup so you can get back to everything that you are working hard towards or just have to do. Like sometimes we're just in a job we have to do to make money to get to the next season in our life. So even if it's that, it's still super helpful. So what I do want to talk more specifically about today is how to recognize that you need a mental health day and how to go about taking one if it's not something that is recognized where you work, if it's not something that's super easy for you. And I'm really just going to go over very quick steps of, the best way to go about it and a couple things to think about. So here we go. Let's start with a few warning signs. I have 6 that will help you recognize that a mental health day is needed for you. Okay, so the first one is you are having trouble with your sleep. So this could be that you have trouble going to sleep, or you are feeling tired all the time, or you always constantly want to nap, or anything like that. It's a warning sign. It's a warning sign that you're either pushing yourself too far, you're allowing stress and anxiety to build up so much so that you are constantly worried and thinking about what you need to do for work or whatever else is going on in your life that's super overwhelming, right? I didn't really mention this because I'm focusing on a work situation because a lot of us need to take mental health days from work. But if you don't work and you go to school, or maybe you're just a stay-at-home mom, you still deserve mental health days too. Let me just say that. I should have said that at the beginning, but I do absolutely agree with that, right? You need those days too. And so if you're able to take those days by just taking a day off from school and figuring out how to make it up later, or if you're able to have someone come in and watch your kids or send your kiddos to someone else's house for a play date and have yourself a day, right? And push the chores aside, do them later or another day, and take a break for yourself. So I just want you to know that everyone's included in this, not just people that work, everyone, okay? So again, you're having trouble with your sleep. So when you let all that stress and worry and everything build up, it can definitely prevent you from sleeping if you're constantly worried and thinking about what needs to get done or done better or whatever. Or you're so worn out from everything that all you want to do is sleep because it just gives you that rest and comfort that you need. Um, or you're not sleeping enough, when you need to, and so you just want to be sleepy every other time when you're not working, irritability can get in the way. The second sign is you are unusually short-tempered. So if you find that you are getting irritated by people or just situations that happen a lot quicker, a lot easier than you normally would, you might want to consider if you need a mental health day, because you might need some time away from all of that. It's just getting on your nerves, it's driving you crazy, it's pushing you to the edge because you don't have any time to really think about how to solve these problems, how to assist in these situations, how to finish these projects or get these things done. Or there's some people that are just pushing your buttons. You just might need like a day away to just regroup yourself. So you might need a mental health day if you find yourself unusually short-tempered, more than maybe you already are, but it's more than normal, or you are and you normally aren't. You're like, crap, this is not good, right? Because it's not going to help anyone get anything done. The third one is you're having trouble focusing. So if you're at work and you're trying really hard to focus and get your things done, or if you're at home, if you're at school, or whatever you're doing, and you're like, man, I just cannot focus, especially if you have other things happening in the back of your mind. You're like worried about work, but you're also worried about things in your personal life. It's just all too much. You might need a mental health day to just kind of like let things shift in your mind, work themselves out in your subconscious a little bit, but not directly focus on them, right? And a lot of times our subconscious will figure out so many things when we're not directly focusing on them. We have those aha moments where we just come to like clarity, and it can be really helpful to take a break, especially if we can't focus, then we're not really being as productive as we could be. So we might just need like a reset and a break. The fourth one is you're getting sick all the time. This is a classic sign, right? A lot of people will be like, oh my gosh, I'm getting sick all the time. And it's like stress, it's like worry, it's like you're overwhelmed. You are getting to the point of burnout. It's too much. So if you find yourself getting sick all the time and it doesn't have anything to do with any sort of like autoimmune kind of situations, things that you may already be talking to your doctor about, I would consider getting that checked out, and I would consider like taking a break, especially if you haven't been taking a break, especially if you've just been like push for like quite some time. You might need a mental health day to just kind of like take a step back, regain your health, to actually like put your health first. Maybe you're not eating right. Maybe you're not eating enough, right? And maybe you need to evaluate like getting some vegetables and nutrients back into your body and drinking more water and less soda or whatever it is, right? Eating less sugar and less caffeine to keep you going. So I encourage you, think about that. If you're getting sick all the time, you might need a mental health day. The fifth one is you don't feel like you have enough time to recharge. So if you feel like the weekend like is just not enough, or you find yourself working Monday through Friday and then you're working on the weekend and then you didn't really get any time to recharge, wow, then you're not getting any downtime, you're not getting any breaks. You need to take a very specific day to not work and to recoup and recover. You need a break. You absolutely should take a mental health day, because you're not allowing yourself that downtime to recharge. And we all need that, no matter what job we do, we need it. And some of us work longer hours than others. I totally get that. I worked in a couple hospitals years ago, and I know nurses, they work like 12-hour shifts and stuff like that, but they still get those days off in between. And you can definitely tell when someone is overworked, because they just start literally being like more snippy at people, or they just feel like they can't get things done. They can't get a lot of their things in their personal life worked out because work is just taken over. You gotta have that time to recharge in your life. So you might need a personal day if you're finding it like you don't have enough time. And number 6, the last one, is you might need a mental health day if you're normal coping mechanisms are not helping you deal with stress. So, if you already have coping mechanisms to help you deal with the stress and overwhelm and anxiety and things that you're going through, so let's say it's like yoga or journaling or working out or, I don't know, like watching movies with friends or whatever it is that you like to do that helps to keep your mind like to recharge. If those things aren't working anymore, you might just need like a whole day. You might not just be able to incorporate these activities that are like an hour or 2 hours, right? You might need a more full day to really take a step back, take a full step back, widen your perspective, understand that your body and your mind is trying to tell you that you need more time. These things aren't working anymore and they're not going to work again until you give yourself a full day break. So just consider these 6 things as good warning signs for you to be like, wow, this is happening a lot, or multiple of these are happening to me. I might need to take a mental health day or 2, like depending upon your situation and how many, like, time off that you can take, you feel like you can take, you probably need it. So just kind of keep these things in mind. Now, let's talk about how to go about taking the mental health day that you very much deserve. And I want you to know that you don't need to let anyone know that you are taking this time for your mental health if you don't want to, right? It's your own personal business. And I want you to remember that when too many people come asking questions, some people are just super nosy. I'm kind of like curious and nosy. I try not to ask like really inappropriate questions like that, like, why are you sick? Or what are you sick with? Or being accusatory with people like taking time off. Let people take time off. It's totally fine. Even if they're abusing it in a way that they shouldn't be using it, that is on them, not you, okay? So anyway, it's your own personal business. You don't have to share it with anyone. You really don't. You are protected in that way. So just remember that. So you don't, if that's like one of the reasons why you don't take a mental health day, understand that you can and you should, because you don't have to share that information with anyone. So this process will be much easier for you if you work for yourself because you have the power to tell yourself that you need time off and give it to yourself, deadlines permitting. Like, unless you have something due tomorrow and you're like, okay, well, I can't necessarily take a mental health day tomorrow if there's no way that this can be changed and moved back and this, that, and the other, right? I get that. But so if you do work for yourself, that's great. It's a lot easier for you to figure that out, take those days off, and not have to really deal with anyone else, especially if you don't have like a lot of employees that you have to, talk to and not necessarily answer to, but, kind of coordinate. In a more corporate like company situation, taking time off at work can happen in like multiple classic ways that I'm sure most of you will know. You can schedule and take days off with like accrued vacation time. You can call in sick and use sick time or not get paid for that missed day if you don't have sick time, or ask for a day off without pay, like an unpaid personal day. So I'm just going to go through those 3 really super quick, just to kind of break it down, because I know that some people will be like, well, I understand these, but just to give you kind of a reference of what I think you should do, and then we'll close her up. So in regards to sick days, right, you slowly accrue these, like fractions of them. I know that some places do it differently though, like they'll just give you like a whole day or a certain amount of days in like a period, and at our job they're like slowly accrued. It's just different, whatever. But sick time, accrued sick time, right? As I mentioned before, mental health days tend to sneak up on us sometimes, like when we get sick. We get sick, it's like not planned. It's just like, it's okay, you're here, you're sick. Oh, okay, that sucks. So if your stress and overwhelm hits its maximum without notice, like getting sick, I suggest that you take a sick day, right? Call in sick to your employer and take the day to yourself. And if you have accrued sick time, then you can still get paid for being out, which is a nice bonus. So you can just, quote unquote, be out sick. Don't have to tell them why. You're just like, hi, I am not going to be able to come into work today. I need to call in sick. Ask you, oh, well, why? Oh, well, what do you have? Or how are you sick? And you're just like, I just don't feel well. I'm sick, right? You don't have to like give them your whole life story or super details. They are not privy to that, right? I do know that some places have like the rule that if you're out more than 3 days and you need a doctor's note. I still think that you could get away with that because if you have like a therapist, you can get a note from them saying that you needed this time because of whatever, if you feel comfortable sharing that, or don't be out that many days, right? There is like a balance here. So, sick time, if you have accrued time, then you can get paid while you're out. Vacation time. This might sound weird, but if you know you are getting to a point of feeling overwhelmed or know you will need a break coming up soon, schedule it in advance. So like if you know that there is like a big project that's coming up or that you're working on and you really need a break at the end of it and it doesn't really warrant like a vacation, like an actual vacation or whatever, then yeah, just schedule that. Schedule that mental health day in advance so you can use your vacation time if you have it accrued. And we won't always have the luxury to do it in this way because like I said, it can creep up on you like if you're sick, but it can cause the least amount of waves at work to schedule it in advance and you have a wonderful day of rest to look forward to. And life is like so great when you have things, even small things, to look forward to. And again, you don't have to tell them what you're doing. You can just say, yeah, I'm taking a day off. To do what? Oh, just taking a day off. That's it. Just gonna take a home vacation day. That's fine. People might think that's rude. People might be like, oh, why are you being so standoffish about it? It's just your personal thing. I know that we all, especially me, because I've told you, I'm a people pleaser. I know we all feel like we need to answer everyone's absolute question, but we do not have to. That is not our responsibility. Things are personal to us. We don't have to share. Try to remember that. Let's all try to remember that and practice that, even me, okay? So you don't have to tell them. And if you have vacation time and you can just plan to have those mental health days and you can just like, if you know they're going to come up and you're going to need that time, and schedule that time out. And then it's like no one's having an issue with you being out, right? Because it was planned. So the last one, unpaid personal day. Oh man, I've taken some of these, right? And I understand that this might not work for everyone. I get it. This is probably not the way many of us want to go about taking a mental health day. But sometimes it's necessary, right? Sometimes we have to do what we got to do. If you don't have vacation time or sick time, most companies give the option of taking unpaid time off. Now, whether you decide to do it in a route where you plan it out in advance or you just call in sick and you're like, hey, I can't be here. I'm sick. I know I don't have any sick time, but I'm going to be out. I'm just not going to be there, right? You have to do what you got to do. I do feel like there was a place I worked for that did not like unpaid sick time, but it's like, how are you going to force someone to come in if they've already decided they're not going to come in, right? Even if they don't have sick time. But, oh yeah, I worked at a place where if you didn't have that time, then it would be negative in like your account, like your PTO account or whatever. And then when you did accrue it, you would already have lost it because you are working from a deficit, which I thought was the dumbest thing ever. I'm not kidding. So anyway, let's not get all riled up about that. But yeah, if you don't have vacation or sick time, you can generally take unpaid time off. And I understand if you're wary of doing this because you need every dollar you can get, and taking a day off with no pay sounds awful. If you're in that situation, I totally understand. I've been there. But you have to consider, well, what it will give you in return if this is your only option, right? Can you actually wait until you have accrued time to take a day for yourself? You have to ask yourself that. Are you already struggling so much? And it would be like nice to have some downtime to regroup and recover. Like, could you consider spending less on a couple things for the week or 2 weeks or whatever, the month, to make up for not getting paid for that day that you took off in exchange for taking care of yourself? Like, is that a good exchange for you? You got to ask yourself if it's worth it to keep struggling for like who knows how long, or take a small loss to something that could help you become a little bit stronger, which would be that mental health day, which would be taking time for you, which would be taking time to regroup and recover, which would be taking a break, which would be trying to avoid burnout. So I want you to consider all of that. Really, when it comes to unpaid personal days, sometimes we feel like we can't afford it, right? But then you have to look at your life and be like, well, what else am I telling myself I can't afford and I am affording? And are those things more meaningful than myself, than my sanity, than my mental health? You really have to ask yourself those hard questions because it's super important. And just having maybe that one mental health day could really help you just like restart and become even better and stronger to move so much far forward in your life than you thought you could because you took a break to just rest. It's super important. So hopefully talking about this helped you recognize that taking mental health days can be so helpful and possibly needed if you were suffering from any of the warning signs that I spoke about, right? Consider that. And I thought it would be helpful to quickly talk through the ways to go about getting a mental health day at work without getting into your biz, right? People just want to be all up in your biz and know why you're doing this, that, and the other. It's not it is not their right to know that, right? They don't need to. They really don't. So hopefully you enjoyed this. I know this is kind of different than what I normally talk about, but I just found it very empowering to talk about this because it needs to become a regular thing. We need to recognize how important mental health days are. We just do. I hope you join me in that passion. But thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast again with me, Sabrina. I hope that you really enjoyed this episode. Thank you for listening, downloading, and sharing the show. Again, check the show notes so you can come say hi to me on Instagram at Sabrina Joy Perozzo, or send me an email, or do both, realpositivegirlpodcast@gmail.com. But until next time, have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.